Honorable Finance Minister, distinguished Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog, all my distinguished colleagues, all the secretaries to Government of India, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, let me first welcome the Honorable Finance Minister, because this national monetization pipeline is a consequence of an announcement in the budget. And this year's budget was one of the most appreciated budgets of the government because of its key principle was economic growth through private sector participation. The budget had identified monetizing operating public infrastructure assets as one of the key pillars for enhanced and sustainable infrastructure financing in the country. And asset monetization is based on the philosophy of creation of new assets through monetization. Therefore, the aim is to unlock the value of government investments and public money in infrastructure and take this country forward. This year's budget actually had laid down that monetization will be a financing mechanism, and this will serve as a medium-term roadmap. There'll be identification of ministries. There'll be a dashboard tracking progress, and this dashboard also is ready. So if you look at the NMP development process, we've taken it through a highly consultative process. After the budget announcement, there were several stakeholder inputs in the national webinar. There have been meetings with ministry stakeholders. There have been several rounds of interaction with the state governments, which were initiated by the finance minister. And the NMP is in 2 volumes. The first volume is a guidebook and framework. And second is the pipeline of assets which we'll put out. And the first volume will help the state governments and the ministries easily assimilate the concept and modalities which is necessary to launch transactions in the market. And let me also say that this has been an effort of all the ministries, all the departments, all the secretaries and the chairman railway board who are here. They've all participated very vigorously in this exercise. So the asset monetization is about existing asset base, monetizing existing asset base, using their proceeds for new infrastructure creation, recycling the future assets. And our objective is to enhance CapEx spending, build multiplier impact on growth and employment, and reviving credit flow. The important thing is that in monetization of core infra assets, ownership of asset remains with the government. There is a mandatory handback after the time period, and therefore assets remain with the government. There are structured contractual partnership, and there are performance standards, and brownfield projects are de-risked, and therefore private investments comes in brownfield de-risked projects. Our approach is that it should coincide with the National Infrastructure Plan. It's coterminous with that for a 4-year period. What we've estimated is the normative value. The real value will emerge from the actual bidding process because there will be transaction structure, there's a market scenario, there's an investment appetite. Broadly, the models of core assets under NMP we've looked at are operate, maintain, transfer, toll, operate, transfer, operation, maintenance and development, rehabilitate, operate, maintain, transfer. And there were far-reaching announcements in the finance bill for InvITs. Very progressive decisions were announced by the finance minister for InvITs and REITs. And actually, this has led to our ability to invite investments from various investor classes, and it has made a huge difference because of this. The pipeline of Government of India assets, which we are looking at over a 20-25 period covers about 14% of the center's outlay under the National Infrastructure Plan. It's about roughly 6 lakh crore. It covers 12 line ministries and departments and 20 plus asset classes. The top 3 sectors by value are road, railways, power, and the year-on-year phasing is given here. So just to give you quickly that the road sector is very critical. It covers about 26,700 kilometers, and NHAI and MoRTH will drive this largely through TOT and InvITs. The phasing is given in all these sectors. Then there is power transmission. And roads and power, actually roads has already monetized 1,400. It's a model which is going on in road sector. They've already monetized about earlier, last 2-3 years of 17,000 crores worth of through 1,400 kilometers. And this year, Power Grid did an InvITs, which was highly successful, raising 7,700 crore. We are looking at about 28,608 CKT kilometer of transmission line, about 45,200 crores, and Power Grid will drive this. We are looking at power generation about in hydel and solar sector through NTPC, NHPC, NLC, and that is, the phasing is given here. Then we are looking at pipelines, natural gas sector through GAIL, and Ministry of PNG, Petroleum Natural Gas, about 8,154 kilometers. And then separately, petroleum product pipelines and others, again about 22,503. This is Indian Oil, HPCL, and Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas through PPPs and InvITs model using these models. And then we've looked at warehousing assets. Warehousing assets which are with Central Warehousing Corporation and FCI. And we feel that country has huge amount of warehousing assets, and this is about 210 lakh metric tons of assets which have been considered, about or close to about 29,000 crores. And then railways, which has a share of about 26% in NMP. We have looked at several their railways as railway stations, passenger trains, Konkan Railway, goods sheds, hill railways, dedicated freight corridor, railway stadiums, 15 railway stadiums also. And then telecom sector, about 2.86 lakh kilometer of fiber, plus BBNL, BSNL, towers, etc., which we've looked at. And in the aviation sector, which has had a very good track record of privatizing airports, not only 25 airports, but also its stake in existing airports. Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, it has existing stakes. We are looking at all that, and that has been spelled out. And then shipping, 31 projects in 9 major ports, which they have to drive, which is here. And then we've looked at coal mining, about 160 projects at a value of 28,747 kilometers. A lot of that work has already been done by the Ministry of Coal in terms of fresh mineral blocks, etc. And in the sports sector, we've looked at 2 national stadiums, 2 regional centers. And in the urban real estate sector, we've looked at redevelopment of colonies and hospitality assets, which Ministry of Urban Development has. All the secretaries to Government of India who are going to drive this are here. They are the ones who will take leadership position, and therefore they will be taking this forward. This entire exercise has been a partnership exercise. It's a whole of government approach with all of us working together to make this possible. In addition to this, the Honorable Finance Minister had asked us to work very actively with the states. And we had a national workshop on asset monetization with the states, and which was chaired by the Finance Minister herself. Nodal officers have been appointed by 26 states and UTs, and 4 states have created their pipeline of assets, and most states have shown a huge willingness. And all the states, all the secretaries to Government of India are also working in partnership with their counterparts to take this forward. Our implementation plan is that after the launch of NMP, the dashboard will also be ready. There are yearly targets over the next 4 years. There will be monthly review through the Empowered Committee, which is chaired by the Cabinet Secretary. NITI will be hand-holding for transactions. We have a real-time monitoring through dashboards, which will be fed in by the concerned ministries. And we have requested the Honorable Finance Minister to also kindly review this on a quarterly basis so that we actually deliver on ground. Our commitment to the Finance Minister and to the Honorable Prime Minister is that this is we are fully committed to delivering success of the national monetization pipeline. We feel that it is very important that to bring in private sector for better operation and maintenance, and therefore we are fully committed to very strong delivery on ground. Thank you very much. And with this, I would request the Honorable Finance Minister to kindly release the national monetization pipeline. May I now request the Honorable Vice Chairman Niti Aayog to say a few words.
Honorable Finance Minister, Mrs. Sitharaman, CEO of Niti Aayog, Mr. Amitabh Kant, all the secretaries of the Government of India here, friends, ladies and gentlemen. This is, in my view, a landmark event, actually, because not only does it denote the government's commitment to maximize value, unlocking value creation from public sector asset, but also is one of the very few events that I have witnessed where the whole of the government is actually being involved, is involved, and will continue to be involved going forward. I think that's it's a remarkable step forward, and it's all been sort of ushered in by the Finance Minister's budget for 2021-22, and also denotes the Honorable Prime Minister's commitment, unambiguous commitment that infrastructure growth and economic growth in India will be private sector led, and that this government is committed to making greater opportunities available for the private sector participation, including in infrastructure. Infrastructure, as we know, ladies and gentlemen, has huge multiplier effects. We are committed to its development. Huge amount of progress has already been made, and this is the next step in mobilizing private capital for the development of infrastructure. As the CEO emphasized, and I said, and I want to emphasize, asset monetization does not in any case represent a handover of the ownership of these assets. Neither does it represent any form of fire sale, which is that, you're just kind of in a desperate mood to sell these assets. No, not at all. A fair value will be achieved by all the sort of necessary, transparent, accountable mechanisms. And I think, therefore, and then at the end of the day, these assets will be handed over back to the government for further utilization. So that's, I think, the important thing to remember. This is a part of the Honorable Finance Minister's effort to ramp up capital expenditure in the government, in the economy, and that's represented by her making an outlay of 5.5 trillion rupees towards capital asset creation, and a substantial increase of 34.5% in the budget estimate of 2021 going forward. It's also remarkable that this comes after the fact that in the last 7 years, the cumulative investment in infrastructure has already doubled over this period, registering a compound annual rate of growth of 11%. So I think this is a new beginning, and this also, I may point out just in these brief remarks, that this is not the end of it at all by any means. The states will come on board, and they have a huge amount of unlocked assets there. I can, for example, think of just a very simple thing that all our public sector undertakings have their guest houses in all the cities all across the country, and these can in fact be brought together and have created a much better utilization through public-private partnerships. So the opportunities and potential is quite large going forward, and I think we are committed to exploiting these opportunities for faster, rapid infrastructure growth in the economy, so that our national infrastructure pipeline does not find any constraint, financial resource constraints going forward. With these few words, I must once more compliment the team of the secretaries led by the CEO, Mr. Amitabh Kant, who have put together a huge amount of work in putting this in place and actually agreeing to not just the targets, but also to an implementation plan as we go forward. So thank you all very much for being here, and I look forward to your sort of participation, as it were, in this effort going forward. Thank you.
May I now request the Honorable Finance Minister, actually, who spelled this out in her budget and which has led us all to work together to see that the budget vision is delivered on ground. May I now request her to kindly deliver her inaugural address.
Thank you very much, Amitabh, and thank you, Niti Aayog, for having invited me for this, for the launch of the National Asset Monetization Pipeline. And just to remind you, National Infrastructure Pipeline was launched in December 2019, and there is a parallel running of these two from this year onwards. So this is going to be coterminous with the infrastructure pipeline, is a point which Amitabh made, and I think that really gives you the timeline and the framework and how infrastructure-related, both brownfield and greenfield things are going to happen simultaneously. But the first thing to start with is the budget that we presented in February 2021 was clearly something which was prepared in the light of the pandemic-affected economy. 2020, you saw the rapid changes that had happened. We had to lock down the economy because at that time we did not even have PPE kits. Then, of course, ramping up of capacities and production, all that happened. But nevertheless, the economy did have a serious challenge, but we didn't allow the challenge to remain there. We took it as an opportunity, and in order to make sure that the economy gets the necessary support from us, from the government, we clearly identified as infrastructure being the central pillar through which, if public expenditure happens, you're able to be sure that the revival will be clearly predictable, and also it will have immediate spillover effective, the spillover effect, which itself can create that cycle of demand. So it was very clear that the public expenditure in infrastructure will have to be really increased, and also continuously I've kept monitoring. So the target which will have to be achieved, in spite of the second wave, we've been monitoring all the departments and also the public sector undertakings. They are ramping up, and I'm glad to say that they're, in spite of the second wave, they've tried keeping their best, and it is going on. I shall be monitoring it further. But what the asset monetization pipeline does today is to take this entire thing to the next phase, where you're looking at the public-private partnership. You're also making sure, and here, let me first of all underline, Amitabh did say it during his presentation, and Rajiv Kumar ji also has mentioned it. There's no land here. This entire pipeline, national monetization pipeline, is talking about brownfield assets where investment has already been made, where there is a completed asset which is either languishing or which is remaining not fully monetized or which is remaining underutilized. So by bringing in the private participation into this, you're going to be able to monetize it better, and with whatever resource that you're having obtained through the monetization, you're able to put in further investment into infrastructure building. So first of all, for those who have this question in your mind, which means, are we selling away the lands? No, this infrastructure national monetization pipeline is talking about brownfield assets which need to be better monetized. And more importantly, I want to show you again a slide which Amitabh showed and which has been very clearly emphasized by Rajiv Kumarji, that ownership of assets remains with the government. That was a slide shown. I'm just showing it here. The ownership remains of those assets with the government, and there will be a mandatory hand back. They'll have to give back after a certain time. So let there not be any confusion, oh, this government is selling away. No, these are assets, brownfield, which will be still with the ownership of the government. And the second most important point here is that the contractual partnerships which we will enter in executing this monetization pipeline will be with full KPIs and performance standards ensured. So the KPIs and performance standards will have to be complied with for getting through the monetization pipeline. So they're all de-risked assets, no doubt, and the value from the consideration and the private investment which will come into maintaining it, optimally utilizing it, putting it for a larger cost, all this will generate greater value, and it will unlock resources for the economy, which is what we want. The economy needs more resources. The economy wants that kind of a liquidity, that kind of a value unlocking with which we can move forward. So we'll have to understand that this is a transition. You're bringing in greater innovative ways of private participation. Examples were given of InvITs, which are being very popularly used by the highways, National Highways Authority. Power Grid Corporation, for instance, has also used the InvIT rates model, and as a result, they were able to raise more than 7,000 crores. So I think it's important that India recognizes that time has come for making the most out of our assets, and in this pipeline, we've listed that out so that they can be better monetized. How do you think this is going to work out? How is the government confident that this is going to work out? And really, for it to work out, have we done enough groundwork? I would like to draw your attention. I'm sure all of you are aware, but in this context, it is necessary for us to draw to some facts which have happened in the last 7 years. There's been a consistency in policy, and the regulatory support has also been periodically reviewed by the Prime Minister himself to make sure, in the name of ease of living, in the name of ease of doing business, we are making sure that the regulatory support is also consistent. Enabling frameworks have been put in place. So therefore, I think this proactive thrust which is being given for monetization will really find the right kind of ecosystem with which we can meaningfully monetize our assets. In this, without me getting into too much of detail, because I'm also talking about how this policy is very much in line with what we have said in the budget, I want to draw your attention. You would remember, even through Corona, even through the pandemic, we had given nearly 12,000 crores to the states as interest-free 50-year loans. So this was given for the states to choose the project that they want to do in infrastructure, and that 12,000, I'm happy to say 11,900 has already gone to the states, which means there is clearly a demand in the states for spending on infrastructure. So last year's 12,000 crore was divided as 2,500 crores to the northeastern states and hill states. Then about 7,500 crores was given to all other states. About 2,000 crores was given to states, subject to some conditions that they fulfill those reformatory steps that we had taken. Only 2,000 of the 12,000 was tied to performance and reforms steps which they had to take. And even in that, when states have fulfilled the reforms which we set as a precondition, most states have adhered and taken the money. That is why, of the 12,000 crores, 11,900 has already been given to the states. I am underlining the point that this monetization pipeline is coming at a time when states are also keen to move forward, and therefore we have come. Amitabh did explain that up to 5,000 crores for this year. I spoke about 12,000 crore for last year. For this year, Amitabh did highlight that about 5,000 crores of financial assistance is already budgeted in this year's budget, again as a 50-year loan to the states, interest-free. But I want you to understand that there are three dimensions or three different silos under which support is going to be given to the states. One is if they disinvest, let's say a PSU, or if they disinvest and also let go the control, whatever money they would raise out of it, 100% will match it and give it to their state's consolidated fund of the state. There are three ways in which we are supporting monetization by the states. This year's money for interest-free amount is given to the states. One scheme is if the states come out with a PSU disinvestment plan, and if they disinvest it completely giving away control, the money that they raise, we will give 100% matching amount into their state's consolidated fund. That is one way. The second way is if they list, instead of privatizing, if they just list a company, a state-held public sector undertaking, if they just bring it to the markets and list it, and the money realized through that listing, we will match 50% of it. Whatever they realize by the listing, whatever amount they would raise, we will match it by giving the states 50% of that. That's a second proposition. The third is what Amitabh mentioned, that 5,000 is kept aside in the budget. And in this is a financial assistance, and we are giving them a 50-year interest-free again, up to 33% of the value of the assets realized through the monetization. So there are three different ways in which we have agreed to assist the states in order that there is a greater sense of monetizing states' assets. Plan A, which I explained, 100% support from center. Plan B, 50% support where you're listing the companies. And Plan C is the monetization where we'll give up to 33%. So this is about 10,000 crore. I've given you three different categories in which for monetization we are helping. Last year I said 12,000 we gave for states' own choice of what they want to do in terms of infrastructure spending. This year, that amount, which was 12,000 last year, this year it is 10,000 crores. For any project that they choose, we will give them according to certain proportion. Last year's 12,000, this year's 10,000 crore. Other than that, you have the three different ways in which we are telling states if they go ahead with PSU disinvestment, 100%, 50% when they go for listing, or 33% when they're going for monetization. So I would like to underline and draw your attention to the fact that not only did we announce central government's budgetary provision, which was, what, 134% more than last year? Am I right, Vivek, if you will correct me? Reaching 5.5 lakh crores for public expenditure for infrastructure. That is one big thing that we've announced. We gave last year 12,000 crores to the states as a 50-year loan interest-free. This year we are giving 10,000 crore interest-free for infrastructure. Over and above that, the three different categories that I've explained to you. So the underlining point is We are with the states. We want to work together with the states. We have taken a whole of government approach. That's why you have all the secretaries here who are going to take it up onto themselves and spread, whether it is a sports stadium or a railway route or urban properties, which the minister is here, secretary is here who will explain it, and so on. So the central ministries and asset owning entities now only need to be geared up towards taking this initiative forward and proactively working with all of us for actively implementing the national monetization pipeline and achieve yearly targets. This is for the next 4 years, but every year we need to go ahead achieving the targets so that the impetus that the economy needs now, particularly coming out of the pandemic, will be getting full gear support from all of us. So thank you very much, Niti Aayog, for having given me this opportunity. I did elaborate a bit more than what I would otherwise want to do, but all towards infrastructure development and all towards the center's commitment towards giving the right kind of boost for the economy to revive. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for this very detailed address, because it's clarified a number of issues. And we are all here, all the secretaries are here who have jointly prepared this plan. If there's any question, answer, we'll be very happy to respond. Yeah, 105, please.
Sir, I'm Ruchi Bhatia from ET now. Just wanted to understand, since you've said that execution is going to be key and various steps will be undertaken to ensure that we are able to execute in time, what do you mean by hand-holding? Who will be hand-holding? And how will you ensure that, some of the assets are sold in a time-bound manner? So how, if you can explain on these issues.
So each ministry has an annual target. These will be constantly reviewed at the level of, there's a monitoring dashboard which was announced by the Honorable Finance Minister in a budget speech, which will be made operational straight away. In addition to that, on behalf of Niti Aayog, we have a set of transaction advisors so as to cut delays. If any ministry requires any hand-holding, we have a PPP cell. The Ministry of Finance, Department of Economic Affairs looks after all agreements. We'll all work together. So we are here to handhold any ministry, any support that they would need. And we'll constantly review at the level of Cabinet Secretary, at the level, I've given you the time schedule in the last this thing, that once in 3 months it will be reviewed by the Finance Minister herself. We will make sure that this is delivered on ground. Number 10.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sapna Das from CNBC TV 18. We would like to ask first, sir, that what's the target for the first year in terms of the asset monetization pipeline? Also, how much of the Gati plan announced by the Prime Minister on August 15 or overall with the NIP? Is this a fresh 100 lakh crore? Because it has been mentioned very clearly that this is in sync with the NIP. It's co-terminus with the National Infrastructure Pipeline also, so we would like to understand on that. And so last but not the least, like on this hand-holding thing, so basically we are monetizing but not selling. So why would people be interested in coming into the market and participating in the private sector? If you could explain that. Thank you.
So firstly, you've seen a very good response to the power grid through the InvITs model. They raised 7,700 crores. Excellent response. Secondly, we had the roads, which has been doing this TOT model on a regular basis, and I had spelt out various models. One of the good things which has been done in the finance bill was liberalizing for InvITs and REITs, and that enables the people of there are investors, but it also allows the people, it's like a mutual fund investment into the infrastructure, and that allows the people of India to invest in infrastructure in many ways. So there's a huge liquidity right now. We've seen this in recent times, that if we are able to put well-structured infrastructure projects in the market, there will be a very good response. We had done this with airports some time back. We got a very, very good response. Mr. Kharola, Secretary Civil Aviation, had driven it. We had a very good response, and we are very confident that we'll be very, very successful in this. This amounts to about 6 lakh crore, which is about roughly 14% of the national infrastructure pipeline, and we are very confident that we'll deliver this. This year's outlay, broadly on an average, it's 1.5 lakh crore every year. This year, it's about 88 lakh crore. Sorry, 88 lakh thousand crore, sorry. Yeah, 40.
Good evening to all. This is Chetan from Z Business. Sir, I would like to take my colleague's question further. We understand that roads, railways, highways are the top 3 sectors that you've identified, agreed. But what about the stadiums, the warehouses, the other real estate assets that the government plans to monetize? How could we get a private player to run it better and then eventually take it back? Why would a private player buy a piece of land or a stadium and eventually turn that back to the government? What is the rationale behind that?
So let me first request Mr. Sudhanshu Pandey, who's driving warehouses, to give you a perspective.
So basically what the private sector does, if we have say 7,000 acres of land of FCI or 3,500 acres of CWC, Central Warehousing Corporation land, then and lot of land is vacant, or many of the godowns are end of life godowns, so they have spent 60 years or so. So they will rebuild that infrastructure, warehousing infrastructure, keep it for 25, 30 years, run it, manage it, and in the process, they will bring in greater productivity, better efficiency, and also earn revenue. So without any government investment on the land which was lying vacant, government will mobilize about 30,000 crore in warehousing sector alone. So this is how it is going to work.
So many of you, I don't know how many of you have gone to see the stadiums which were built during the Commonwealth Games. I had some time back gone to see a play there, and they're in really bad shape. In stadium, and there's one stadium which has been made in Gujarat when PM was the CM, Trans Stadia. You should see it's now being used 24/7, round the clock. There are colleges in the areas running, there's being run for sports, for coaching center, for a whole range of things, 24/7, round the clock. So you can, actually a stadia can become the heart of the city by a whole range of activities. So the intention is that vast areas in the city are lying with stadiums which are not even being utilized 1 to 2%. The capacity utilization is 1% or 2%. We need to take it to 110, 120% to drive the economy. That's what's required. So private sector will come in for a defined time period, invest its own money. Instead of the government spending money, the private sector comes in, spends money. Sportsmen are able to use it. Local community can use it. Do a whole range of sports. Other infrastructure on the side can be used for a vast range of other things. And stadiums can become brand new. So, for all in 4 years. We showed you phasing, year by year by year by year phasing of the asset monetization pipeline. And each project which will be put out will be taken through a transparent competitive bidding.
So like a stadium goes out for how many years?
That's a part of, that's why we have transaction advisors. Transaction advisors structure the period, the contractual agreements, the KPIs, everything. Yeah, 22.
मैं लक्ष्मण CNBC आवाज़ से जैसा कि आपने कहा कि इसमें लैंड एसेट को शामिल नहीं किया गया है और जहाँ तक कि मैं समझ पा रहा हूँ नॉन कोर एसेट भी शामिल नहीं है, तो उनके मोनेटाइजेशन को लेकर क्या आगे आपका प्लान है, क्या इस तरह कोई पाइपलाइन लॉन्च करेंगे? दूसरा सवाल कि आज आपने इन्फोसिस के सीईओ से मुलाकात की इनकम टैक्स पोर्टल को लेकर, अगर कुछ अपडेट दे सकें प्लीज़।
आज नेशनल मोनेटाइजेशन पाइपलाइन के ऊपर पहले प्रश्न पूछिए, उसका जवाब तो मिल रहा है, बाद में बात करेंगे उसके ऊपर।
Ma'am, you spoke a lot about, state and center and how you're, pushing infrastructure and everything else. As Mr. Niti Ayog, both the CEO as well as the chairman, vice chairman have pointed out, this is a partnership which will require states. How much of that 88,000 crores this year, 1.5 next year, and the 6 lakh, how much will it be divided between center and state in terms of asset monetization? And how are you going to, handhold them, states, in getting this, though they are already on board?
At this point, the list of assets which are coming here are all central government's assets. We are not talking about states. What I came in with, the funds which we are giving for states, are for their own PSUs. But where we are saying if they do the PSU, we'll give them matching, is without including them here, but if they do it, I'm saying I have made provisions even for that. But this pipeline is purely of the Government of India assets.
And this money will be a revenue for you, or you'll reutilize it? How will you use this asset money?
So, two things. One is, as we've said before, that we've interacted with the state governments. We've had 5 workshops with the state governments. There are several concepts which are new. And therefore, the first volume of this asset monetization pipeline is about concepts and new models which have come up. And these are new models, and actually India is a leader in many of these new models, which Power Grid and roads have demonstrated. And this workshops with the states show that there is huge interest in the states, massive interest in the states. And therefore, 26 states have appointed their nodal officers, and 4 or 5 states have already prepared their pipelines. Because of the second wave of COVID, we were a little slow. Now we're going to push really hard in partnership with the states. Like we've done with the ministry, we feel this will bring huge efficiency in India and help us move the infrastructure forward. That's number one. Number two, objective is that instead of government providing money through the budgetary sources for infrastructure creation, existing infrastructure are better managed through private sector, and that money is used for more and more and more and more infrastructure creation. Why should the government of India, finance minister, provide outlays to the road sector if road sector can raise more and more resources and provide?
So it will be a capital expenditure.
Of course, of course. 110, please.
Yeah, good evening to everybody. I'm Nivedita Mukherjee from the Financial Express. So as you said, you're drawing a good response from on the various sectors. So does this response also reflect the interest of the international community, global investors, given India's growth prospects and all?
So let me say that this entire plan is not merely workshop with the ministries. Right after the budget, the Honorable Prime Minister directed that we hold webinars with stakeholders. So we'd held a whole range of webinars, and then subsequently we've held webinars with a lot of stakeholders and all the top investors of the world. BlackRock, Blackstone, Macquarie, all of them have shown interest in these. The important thing for all of us to understand is that these are de-risked projects, and therefore, they will find it, foreign investors will find it easier to structure InvITs and REITs and get resources. And while we get the resources, we'll find it easier to invest in greenfield projects. Number 9, we can have the last 2 questions.
So you said there are a number of models which the first volume has suggested. would it also require changes in the various regulations, the regulatory frameworks which are available? Is that also a suggestion which is being made?
So I also said that a huge work has been done on the regulatory side, and I placed on record our deep appreciation in the finance bill, a number of issues which foreign investors had raised on InvITs and REITs, all have been sorted out. All issues were sorted out, and that's why it was possible for us to get Power Grids to get the investment in the transmission line. If you have to get investment in pipelines, look at the vast number of pipelines which GAIL has, Indian Oil has, all of this we'll be able to structure through InvITs and REITs. It remains with the government, but we are able to structure a revenue stream through InvITs and REITs. Yeah, one last question. Anybody else who's 156?
Yeah. Sir, one question on railways. So has a model, monetization model for railways been finalized? Because some of the very significant railway projects like dedicated freight corridor and all, we're having some concerns with the private sector willing to participate on issues like tariff differential and all in monetization of such projects. There were concerns related to tariffs and others. So, what is the status of the railway?
Chairman, Railway Board is here. It's best that he answers.
As far as railways is concerned, we have also formulated certain mechanisms by which we are going to monetize our assets. DFC is also one of them. We also have our stations, we also have trains, we also have stadiums, and we also have the hill railways and MFCs. And for all these, we have also got a structured way of going about it, because these are all different areas of work and will require a little different approach. So we are all working on that. Some of them have already been finalized, some are in the final process. But we are very sure that with the active participation, as we are looking forward to this national monetization pipeline and the interest which has been shown so far by the global investors, by the local investors, by the industry, that we would be able to achieve the targets that we have set. Thank you.
I'll request Mr. V.S. Mishra, because place where we are all saying New Moti Bagh is actually the best, one of the earliest examples of asset monetization.
So thank you, sir. And in fact, this was the first redevelopment project, the New Moti Bagh colony. We monetize 3 acres of land where the Leela Hotel has come, and thereafter the same money was invested in making the New Moti Bagh colony. Much more space, much bigger place for the officers to live, and at the same time, without investing any money from the government. Also, ma'am, I would like to inform that in 2014, we paid back 300 crore to the National Exchequer. I mean, the 300 crore was saved and that money was paid. Next comes the East Kidwai Nagar, where we have, I mean, now you see the whole landscape has changed. Next to the AIMS, you go on that road and you find a different kind of experience. And that has again something to the tune of nearly 7,000 crore has been realized from these offices. They have been monetized, and from there the whole colony has come up. It is almost complete, the whole colony, I mean, accommodating around 4,500 people. The next is 7 colonies, sir. 7 colonies, that is monetization of nearly 32,500 crores. 7 colonies where Naroji Nagar, Netaji Nagar, Sarojini Nagar, I mean, 7 colonies are getting redeveloped using the monetization. The total value is nearly 32,500 crores. We are further going into, I mean, there have been a brick kiln in Khitorni, where again we are monetizing, and that monetization is almost 12,500 crores. So there are many places where something which is, providing accommodation to the government officials, that is a responsibility the state, central government has been doing. And for that, a lot of money was required. Rather than doing that, we have been able to use the new provisions on the master plan, use the value of the land in the most appropriate manner and provide a much better quality of living for the officials without investment of even single money, and whatever money is being saved, that is going into the exchequer. So this is a very good example, sir.
I think we'll, ma'am, with your permission, can we conclude? So with that, we'll conclude this interaction. Thank you very much for joining us. We greatly appreciate it.
All the media personnel are requested to join for the high tea to the cafeteria.